My wife falsely claimed I was abusive to get full custody. She thought she won until the judge played the security footage. I never thought my wife would turn into my worst enemy. When I married Melanie, she was smart, charming, and driven. We met in college. She studied law. I went into business, and we built a comfortable life together. We had a daughter, Ava, who meant everything to me. But beneath Melanie's perfect wife act, she had a controlling, manipulative side. She wasn't satisfied with just being equals. She wanted control. Over time, I started noticing how she would twist situations to her advantage, turning minor disagreements into huge fights where I was always to blame. Still, I never thought she'd go this far. Our marriage wasn't perfect, but things took a turn when Melanie landed a major promotion at her law firm. She started looking down on me. She constantly compared salaries. Even though we both made good money, she made slightly more. And she never let me forget it. She undermined my role as a father, correcting how I spoke to Ava, claiming she was the better parent because she understood the law. She started making unilateral decisions, moving large sums of money without telling me. When I confronted her, she laughed. "I know how to protect myself, James. If we ever got divorced, I'd come out on top. You wouldn't stand a chance." I should have seen it coming. A few months later, I filed for divorce. And that's when everything changed. Melanie didn't take the divorce well. She wasn't sad, she was furious. She refused mediation. She immediately demanded full custody. She hired one of the most aggressive family lawyers in the city. I was prepared for a tough fight. I knew she'd make things difficult. But I didn't expect what came next. 2 weeks into the legal process, I got a call from my lawyer. "James, we have a serious problem." Melanie had filed a restraining order against me. In her affidavit, she claimed I had been physically and emotionally abusive throughout our marriage. She submitted witness statements, testimonies from her friends, claiming they had seen me lose my temper and threaten her. She provided photos, pictures of bruises on her arms, claiming they were from me. She even accused me of being dangerous to our daughter. And because of how the system works, the judge granted her a temporary restraining order immediately. Within 24 hours, I was banned from my own house, only allowed supervised visits with Ava, presumed guilty until proven innocent. I was in shock. I had never laid a hand on Melanie, or anyone for that matter. But her plan was working. She had weaponized the system against me. My lawyer explained the reality. Family courts tend to favor the mother. Judges err on the side of caution in abuse claims. Even if they're false, it could take months to prove it. Melanie knew this. She was playing the system perfectly. She knew that restraining orders are almost always granted on accusation alone. She knew that family courts prioritize the child's best interest, which often means keeping them with the mother. She knew that if she dragged this out long enough, the judge would just rule in her favor to maintain stability for Ava. I had nothing. The court had already decided I was a violent husband and an unfit father, without any real evidence. And Melanie? She was smug. At our next hearing, I saw it in her face. She knew she had me beat. She looked at me like I was pathetic, and I'll never forget what she said as we left the courtroom. "You should just give up, James. Ava doesn't need you. The judge already knows who the better parent is." I clenched my fists. I wasn't just going to prove my innocence. I was going to expose her for what she really was. For the next few weeks, I felt helpless. My lawyer was trying to challenge the restraining order. I was scrambling to find evidence to prove my innocence. Every visit with Ava was supervised, making me feel like a criminal. And then, one night, I remembered something. Our home had a security system, and not just a standard one. I had installed a high-end system with multiple hidden cameras inside the house. Melanie didn't know about them. The cameras were small, discreet, and motion-activated, and if they were still running, they might have recorded something that could destroy her entire case. I went back to the house while Melanie was at work. I had legal permission. Since my name was still on the lease, I was allowed to retrieve personal belongings. I found the security system hard drive hidden in the basement. I plugged it into my laptop, and what I saw made my blood boil. I saw Melanie standing in front of a mirror, applying makeup to fake bruises. I saw her staging photos, changing lighting, making her injuries look worse. I saw her practicing crying, rehearsing how she'd tell her story in court. She had fabricated everything. And now, I had proof. I knew I couldn't just walk into court and drop the footage. Melanie was a lawyer. She would attack it from every angle. And since she didn't know about the cameras, she could claim I had illegally recorded her in a private space. That could get the evidence thrown out immediately. So, before I did anything, I called my lawyer David. I explained everything: the footage, the fake bruises, the staged photos. There was a long pause. Then he said, "This changes everything, but we have to be careful." He explained that in some states, recording someone without their consent, especially inside a shared home, could be argued as a privacy violation. We need to establish that these cameras were part of the home's standard security system. If we can prove that they weren't secretly installed just to spy on her, the footage is fair game. Luckily, I had a home security contract on file. The system was professionally installed and documented. Melanie had never objected to the cameras before. They were located in common areas, living room, hallway, not private spaces like the bedroom or bathroom. David smiled. Then we're good. To make sure Melanie couldn't destroy the evidence, I made multiple copies: USB drive, cloud storage, and an external hard drive. Sent a copy to my lawyer for safekeeping. Had the footage time-stamped and verified by a forensic expert, proving it wasn't tampered with. Now I had the weapon, but I couldn't use it just yet. I needed Melanie to walk into the trap first. The next custody hearing was scheduled in 3 weeks. Until then, I had to act completely defeated. I played the broken man. I let Melanie believe I was crushed, losing hope. I let her push harder. She grew bolder, more reckless, bragging to friends that she had me cornered. I had mutual acquaintances subtly record her confidence. She made careless statements, laughing about how easy it was to win the case. Then, 2 weeks before the hearing, she made a fatal mistake. She filed an additional affidavit, claiming I had violated the restraining order. She swore, under oath, that I had shown up at her house uninvited, threatened her in person, physically grabbed her arm and scared Ava. She had no idea that the security footage covered that exact time frame. She had perjured herself. Big time. The day of the hearing, I walked in completely calm. Melanie, smug, confident, dressed to impress. She sat across from me, pretending to look nervous for the judge. Her lawyer presented the new evidence of my violation. They brought forward a witness, one of Melanie's friends, claiming she had seen me near the house. They submitted a statement from Ava's nanny, saying Ava had been scared of her father. They pushed for an immediate full custody ruling. The judge turned to me. "Mr. Carter, do you have anything to say in response to these allegations?" I took a deep breath, looked at my lawyer, and nodded. "Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to submit a piece of evidence that contradicts all of these claims." The judge raised an eyebrow. "Proceed." My lawyer handed over the verified security footage. It was played on the courtroom screen, and in seconds, everything fell apart. It showed Melanie applying makeup to create fake bruises. It showed her staging photos and rehearsing her emotional victim act. It showed that I was nowhere near her house during the time of her accusations. The courtroom fell dead silent. Melanie's lawyer turned pale. The judge's eyes narrowed. "Mrs. Carter, would you like to explain this?" Melanie opened her mouth, then shut it. She had nothing. She had just perjured herself on record. The judge was furious. The judge stared at the screen, his expression unreadable. The entire courtroom was silent. Then, he slowly turned to Melanie's lawyer. "Would you care to explain why your client knowingly submitted falsified evidence to this court?" Melanie's lawyer looked like he was about to throw up. He turned to Melanie, whispering furiously. But Melanie, she was frozen. Her mind was racing, trying to find a way out, a new lie, an excuse. The judge wasn't having it. "Mrs. Carter, you just perjured yourself. You swore under oath that your allegations were true. You filed a fraudulent police report, and now we have video evidence proving otherwise." Melanie's face was completely drained of color. Then came the real killing blow. My lawyer stood. "Your Honor, we'd like to formally request that all of Melanie Carter's statements be stricken from the record due to perjury and fraud. We'd also like to discuss the legal consequences of her actions, including potential criminal charges." The judge nodded. "Agreed." Melanie finally snapped. "Wait, no, it's not what it looks like. He must have edited that video." The judge was done with her. The footage was authenticated by a forensic expert. It is verifiable evidence. You have deliberately misled this court. You have wasted taxpayer resources. And worst of all, you weaponized the justice system against an innocent father." Melanie started hyperventilating. She turned to her lawyer for help. He refused to even look at her. The judge dropped the hammer. The restraining order was immediately revoked. Melanie lost all credibility in the custody case. My supervised visitation was lifted, and I was granted full parental rights again. Melanie was referred for perjury charges. Her lawyer, realizing he was defending a sinking ship, quickly asked for a recess. The judge granted it. But the damage was already done. Melanie knew she was losing everything, and I wasn't done yet. The next morning I met with my lawyer. "James," he said, "we have two options. We can pursue full custody now, or we can take this a step further and hold her legally accountable." I thought about Ava, about how she almost lost her father because of Melanie's lies. I took a deep breath. I want full custody, and I want her held responsible for what she did. We formally filed a motion for full custody. We submitted the perjury charges and the fraudulent police report. A few days later, Melanie's lawyer quit her case. She had no defense. By the next hearing, Melanie looked completely broken. She had no money for new legal representation. She had been dropped by her law firm, and when the judge read the verdict, her entire body sagged in defeat. Full custody was awarded to me. Melanie was given only supervised visitation. She was ordered to pay legal fees for the fraudulent case. Perjury charges were officially filed. As the judge dismissed the case, Melanie turned to me one last time. "James, please. You can't take Ava from me." I looked at her for the first time without anger, just cold indifference. "You did that yourself, Melanie." And with that, I walked away. The perjury case went forward. She avoided jail time, but she was fined heavily. And the final blow? She was blacklisted from the legal industry. No firm would hire her. She lost everything. A few months later, I ran into her at a grocery store. She looked nothing like the woman I once knew. Tired, bitter, completely defeated. She looked at Ava, then at me. "I never meant to lose her, James." I stared at her for a long moment. "Then maybe you shouldn't have tried to destroy me." I turned away, holding my daughter's hand.